Housing Authority paid for land from the 60s to the 80s.
And new research shows that was only for one of Asheville's 6 urban renewal projects. In my News 13 investigation, I learned why only about half, $3.3 million, was earned back after reselling land that overwhelmingly displaced black families.
And your house was?
Priscilla Robinson
right
was a child.
It was right there. Actually, it was probably lined up maybe 6 or 7 apartment buildings.
92-year-old Matthew Bacoate Jr. saw the changes.
What's the significance of this spot here?
Well, this is a spot where I grew up on Blanton Street.
And James Grant knows for many, it still hurts.
Do you see Asheville ever getting back to what it used to be, especially with its larger black population that it used to have?
Never. People left, hurt.
Currently, local and out-of-state researchers are studying how Asheville has changed over several decades. The key focus for many, urban renewal.
Some people say, why are the black people so angry? Why don't we see them? And I tell them, I said, well, when you know what has happened as far as history, people, families lost their homes, their businesses. It's just like an open wound that has never had the opportunity to heal.
Urban renewal was a national redevelopment effort that included Asheville from the 60s to the 80s. Bacoate doesn't think it was all bad.
Anytime that there's going to be change, there's going to be some damage. But I don't see where it's overwhelming damage.
So how did urban renewal work? Local governments bought rundown homes and businesses with federal grant dollars. And sometimes if the owner argued, the city or housing authority went to court and claimed eminent domain.
And at the end of it all, what are you hoping to see once it's all done, once the research is done?
Well, at the end, I would hope that more people will understand, they will know the story of what happened.
Let's break down what happened. Asheville had 6 urban renewal projects. The biggest one was East Riverside or the Southside neighborhood.
A lot of the homes were owned by what we call today slumlords. There were a lot of people renting. I know there were some black people that own homes.
Southside was home to nearly 4,000 residents, 50% of Asheville's black population. That was also the largest urban renewal project in the southeastern part of the United States.
Look at the homes. The pictures tell a great story and a bad story because it shows exactly the condition of those homes.
Years-long research led by the University of Maryland so far has found, through city records, city leaders targeted Southside for a facelift because of rundown homes, diseases like tuberculosis, and crimes like rape and assaults. Research shows $6.4 million in land was purchased by either the city or the housing authority in Southside during urban renewal. The median price the government paid for each property was $5,000, and most were resold for less than what they were purchased for. So far, there's only data for Southside.
If there are some opportunities to expand the communities, I think it's a great opportunity. I'd be happy to work on it.
Research also reveals a bulk of properties from urban renewal has seen a 400% increase in valuation as of June this year.
Black families lost out on a lot of generational wealth. A lot of families are in public housing because their grandmother, the grandparents' homes were taken.
Researchers found only 14 people from Southside during urban renewal bought property again in that area. So why were so many buildings in bad shape, and why most owners couldn't buy property again? What's called redlining was a discriminatory bank practice used to hand out loans. So some families couldn't get money to fix their homes or purchase new ones in better neighborhoods. And even though mostly black families and businesses were impacted, they were not alone.
The poor whites have went through some disenfranchised things too. That lived in trailer parks, that lived in shacks.
And you care a lot.
Yes, I do. I really do. I care about my community. I care about the people.
And there are other urban renewal studies going on.
Yeah, locally, University of North Carolina, Asheville is also looking into impacts from urban renewal. It's currently working to create more interactive maps to see the properties taken. Now, to use one of the interactive maps or to get involved, head to our website, WLOS.com.
A string of burglaries across downtown.
Over year, yeah, we have seen on commercial burglaries in particular an increase.
A string of burglaries across downtown Asheville has business owners frustrated and on edge.
News 13's Hannah McKenzie has more.
Empire Tattoo and Piercing still boarded up after a man kicked his foot through the front window. Employees tell me they can't even get a new piece of glass until mid-January. The suspect was arrested, but this is just one of 3 businesses in the downtown area targeted within the last 21 days. 3 businesses on Patton Avenue hit within a 3-week span. Blue Dream Curry House.
They threw a brick through this window, smashed the whole bit.
Empire Tattoo and Piercing.
A huge hole, and it's spiderwebbed all the way up through there, so we taped it to keep it from falling down.
And most recently, Salon Dragonfly.
The cash drawer was taken out and thrown on the floor, and they took the paper, they took the cash.
The downtown Asheville businesses just 350 feet apart.
It seems to be similar MOs in terms of the suspect or suspects have been using a rock that they have thrown through the front glass or the front window of the business to gain entry.
Lieutenant Jonathan Brown telling us year to date, 2021 saw 21 burglaries. This year it's 32. That's a 52.38% increase. You're saying it's not a spike, but it is an uptick. What would the difference there be?
Well, I think a spike, statistically is going to be going to look more formidable in terms of the number of events, higher frequency. This uptick certainly something that that we're paying attention to.
Brown didn't have burglary arrest rates on hand, adding he'd work on getting that to us. As for suspects,
there's been a lot of hearsay talk about the people committing these crimes are, living on the streets or experiencing homelessness. Is that the norm? Is that common?
I'm not sure that I can say if it is the norm or not, but I don't know that I would paint with such a general broad brush to say that that is typically what we're seeing.
Brown says there are a number of ways to deter burglars. Lock your doors, keep valuables out of sight, and invest in security and surveillance systems like this one. Just make sure they're operational.
Cookware makes a great holiday gift. If you're looking for non-stick pans, you may have noticed the label saying the pans are non-toxic and that they are made without dangerous chemicals.
So can these claims be trusted? Well, Consumer Reports wondered the same thing and tested 3 recommended non-stick pans to find out.
For decades, PFAS, also known as forever chemicals, have been widely used in nonstick cookware. In recent years, researchers have linked PFAS to a growing list of health problems, including liver damage, lower immunity in kids, and certain cancers.
Using pans with these chemicals could expose you to PFAS, especially if pans are scratched or overheated.
Many newer nonstick pans claim to be free of some of the most widely known PFAS, including PFOA. But are they really free? Consumer Reports wanted to find out. CR tested 2 ceramic-coated pans, the Our Place Always pan and the Red Copper pan, and one with a traditional nonstick coating made from PTFE, the Swiss Diamond pan, which made a PFOA-free claim. The testing is intense, requiring hours of work by specially trained technicians using a rotating tool, scraping coatings from 30 samples of the 3 different pans. The samples were tested for 96 different PFAS chemicals, including PFOA. The results? The 2 ceramic pans didn't contain any of the 96 PFAS our testers looked for. It was a different story for the PTFE-coated pan.
Our tests found the Swiss Diamond pan had measurable amounts of PFOA and several other PFAS.
Swiss Diamond's U.S. distributor challenged CR's results, saying the manufacturer had used PFOA-free raw materials since 2007, and that the high temperatures used in the coating process would remove any PFOA. To avoid PFAS in your cookware, CR recommends products that claim to be PTFE-free, such as pans with ceramic coatings. Uncoated pans made from carbon steel and cast iron can be good options too. Jennifer Emmert, News 13.
Other ways to avoid PFAS are testing your drinking water and using a water filter certified to reduce PFAS.
You can also avoid stain-resistant clothes to limit the amount of exposure. For more information, go to WLOS.com and click on Consumer Reports under the News tab.